How you doing?
Hey,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
good. Yeah.
It's been a big stream, been a big day, but glad to have you here. Would you mind
Up
kicking us off with?
stacked list. I was so happy about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was great puzzling everyone together, getting everyone. It's also hard because I'm not, as it's very clear from this stream, I am not crypto native at all. And so the first time we tried to schedule this, and we tried to schedule you, was during that big crypto conference in Dubai, and everyone was like, "What are you thinking?" Everyone who matters in crypto is going to be busy, and they're going to be
Yeah.
12 hours off your time zone. And then we wound up scheduling it today, and there's this massive Bitcoin conference. But fortunately, some people, were able to hop on the stream. But it's a great community, and so everyone's been able to break it down and explain it like we're five because we effectively are. But would you mind kicking us off with an introduction on yourself and what you're excited about?
Yeah, sure thing. So I am at Volt Capital. What we focus on is pre-seed and seed crypto companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the reason we even started Volt Capital is if you look at the landscape of crypto funds, there aren't really that many that have a senior partnership that have all founded companies before
Oh, cool.
or built a team from the ground up. And
Yeah.
that really is the DNA of the fund. And so what we do is we focus on founder first philosophy in terms of how we index on investments, and then
Mm-hmm.
also we've all been founders ourselves as well. And we're focused in terms of like on a barbell strategy in terms of the thesis.
Mm-hmm.
One, there's established markets like and by the way, this isn't live, right?
It is.
Oh, okay.
You're live.
So there's established, okay, there's just established markets like payments, DeFi,
Yeah.
and okay, I think the camera's okay. There's established markets like DeFi, payments, stable coins that
Sure.
are taking on these tens of trillions of dollars markets.
Sure.
But then also, I mean, right now the rest of the world is waking up to stablecoin potential.
Yep.
Stablecoin started about 5 to 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you look at what the net new narrative is right now, it's largely around real world case applications for crypto. And what we focus on is largely crypto AI intersection. And then that oftentimes looks like crypto and robotics or like crypto and strictly crypto and AI, or also DePIN. And
Sure.
Jordy, I know like you and I had collaborated on that essay a while back where
Yep.
we go through the different verticals and potentials.
That's cool. What is the state of real world assets on chain? I remember during the last cycle, Sam Lesson was on the Logan Bartlett show talking about maybe your mortgage will be on chain, maybe physical real estate will be on chain at some point. And there was a whole bunch of legal and technical and financial issues to work through to actually make that happen. Are people optimistic about that narrative in real world assets, or has it moved to a completely different trajectory?
Yeah, no, we're absolutely excited about that. I think for a few reasons. One is institutional demand is here. Secondly, a lot of the tech has been figured out, but the tech wasn't really the tough part. The tech was probably an iota of it. If you look at the distribution of teams, it's like, all right, you have an engineering team, like 20 or 30, but then you have like hundreds of people focusing on recourse.
Okay.
And the ratio was pretty disproportionate in terms of what they were focused on. And with regulatory language being cleared up and getting more approval from the administration and I guess more legitimacy for the space, it's really paved the way. But what we're focused on when we talk about real world applications, in addition to that, are like we're seeing companies at the intersection of crypto and robotics that are finding innovative ways to collect and check for quality assurance of data in massive global ways that you aren't able to do with existing rails, particularly for robotics, because there isn't really a common crawl equivalent for robotics like there is in the way we train Web 2 or like internet LLMs. And then also like space and crypto. We're seeing companies build at the intersection there, like out of steady research, so like really domain experts in space that are finding really interesting ways to create data marketplaces at the intersection of crypto and space.
One thing that we've seen, and great to see you, by the way. One thing that we've seen from, I think, a number of the different conversations today is it feels like consensus that agents will use tokens or that the agentic web will be leveraging tokens. As an investor, what are the kind of different kind of layers of the stack that you're looking at, whether it's, the agent layer, infrastructure, the actual tokens themselves? How are you thinking about investing into that trend broadly?
So I'm going to say something contrarian around banking agents, and I don't think from a venture standpoint it makes sense to invest like via private equity, particularly because a lot of that value capture is going to be done through enterprises. We already saw Coinbase roll out X402, which allows agent to agent payments, and they already have massive distribution channels. So
Yeah.
you are already starting off at a massive disadvantage as a startup. And instead, what we're looking at in terms of crypto AI, there's a lot to be done on synthetic data generation. There's a ton to be done on the federated learning side in terms of like how do you train models when you're dealing with sensitive data around health or finance. So there are way bigger markets to go after that I think are more appropriate for startups versus companies that can be rolled out, as we've already seen from these larger incumbents.
Yeah, we're talking to the founder of Prime Intellect, kind of similar idea of distributed computing, wiring it all together with crypto makes a ton of sense to kind of use those latent resources. But you're saying that the same thing can exist for data markets. Is the goal there? Is it like with regard to like robotics data? You would think that if this evolves the same way that like the LLM RLHF market evolved, it's like Scale AI is just going to go and centralize it all and then sell access to that. Is there some sort of underpinning fundamental difference with robotics training data that would make it more native to an on-chain environment?
Yes. So a few things. So one is up until recently, a large way that we would train these robots is through physical sensors and actually having to run physical simulations.
Sure.
And what DeepMind came up with was a paper last year where they showed that you can train robots purely on egocentric vision data. And egocentric vision data is point of view data. It's like GoPro video.
Yeah.
So they train robots to play soccer using egocentric vision data or this video. And there isn't a Common Crawl equivalent or just like these massive data sets where you have footage at the right angle or right height to then feed to these robots to be able to train them. And the problem is not everyone has like the balance sheet of like a Tesla or like the ability to go and then collect that. And so the best way to do that is in a distributed way. And so there are companies that are working on one hand, compensating users for uploading video data that specific companies need. But then on the other hand, and this is like where more like the Scale AI piece comes in, is you can disincentivize or slash users, essentially like a built-in penalty for uploading poor quality data that's like pixelated or at the wrong height or angle, and streamline that all in the protocol level.
Yeah.
And so that unlocks a massive amount of potential in terms of the economics of these marketplaces, in terms of the amount of data that you can collect and the diversity of the set of data.
Yeah, it's an interesting flip around because we've been talking about VO3 and Google's massive advantage there with the YouTube data set. I've produced, through the show, we produced hundreds of hours of video content. It goes onto a few platforms. It doesn't go onto every platform. Like now we're on most of them, so most of the hyperscalers could effectively train on our data. But if you're a YouTuber and you're just releasing on YouTube, vending that data to another training platform is something that's not really accessible because obviously YouTube's not just going to go license all that data to another company to train. Very
That's
interesting.
Right. The problem is worse for robotics, right?
Yeah,
because you
similar.
have task-specific footage.
Yeah. What is the state of the crypto seed market today? Is it collaborative, sharp elbows?
Also, the dynamic I'm interested in is like, it seems like it's easier than ever to just like spin up a coin in 2 seconds with one of these new pump coins, and then that's your seed round. But it feels like that's still not a perfect substitute for traditional venture capital. But is that competitive with what you do these days? Like, there's so many alternative sources for funding in crypto.
In many ways, you could also make the argument that companies are going, creating tokens so fast that it's potentially good for seed because maybe you need a seed round, but you don't need the Series A or the Series B.
Sure.
And, maybe limit dilution.
But
I'm
don't get
curious
squeezed
what
as
you're
much.
seeing.
Yeah. So every cycle we see this meme where it's like, will crypto kill VC? And every single cycle it doesn't work.
Okay.
And the reason is because the quality of capital matters. And what founders, like what first-time founders or founders or people that aren't even founders, what they don't realize is that when you have, and you guys, it's like when you have a venture fund on the cap table, it's not just getting the capital. Capital is now a commodity more than ever. It's the support you're getting from that particular fund and the legacy or brand name that they're going to give your company to help de-risk it, which helps you recruit better, be on news outlets otherwise, wouldn't really listen to you because you don't have a brand name around you and it's just your startup. And so those intangibles matter more than the capital you're taking on. And that's the lesson that you see these founders learn over and over again when they think they can just launch a meme coin and then call that their financing for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. What are the other value adds that VCs are pushing right now in defense tech? We're seeing VCs effectively set up like lobbying firms in DC to help with that go-to-market with the Department of Defense. I imagine that at least staying ahead of regulatory changes in crypto makes a lot of sense. But what are the other vectors other than, hey, we might refer a couple engineers, we might get you a couple press pieces? What are the outside the box value adds that a VC can bring to the table?
Yeah, on the defense note, I've also heard of some funds purchasing the American flags that they all have
Really?
because there's actually like a division of the government that provides them for it to be like a legit flag. You're not getting it from any retail store.
Awesome.
But and that's I guess out of the box in defense.
Sure.
But in terms of out of the box like value add and crypto, there are the universals, like you said, like recruiting and helping put together the roadmap and helping like next rounds of financing. But one thing that we're doing at Volt that I think is pretty unique is we're actually building a simulation engine for DePIN protocols where you can input different parameters for the network that you're building out and see based on average inflows and outflows how you can expect that network to perform in different environments over time. And you can update number of nodes, number of like what you anticipate and number of end users being. And so getting really sophisticated around technical value adds that help the team move the bottom line in terms of revenue generation, I think is the real thing that crypto venture funds should be focusing on beyond introductions to people they can recruit or market makers and things like that.
What do you think the first truly breakout DePIN product will be? Is WorldCoin classified as DePIN, or is that not the right framework? I know there's the Cell company, there's hotspots, but what kind of categories broadly are you most excited about?
Yeah, there's this joke where if you squint hard enough, almost everything's DePIN, like even Bitcoin is technically DePIN because there's a hardware component. But WorldCoin absolutely has broken through mainstream. I mean, they were just like on the I believe Time magazine cover. The things that we're more broadly interested in regarding DePIN are, like I said, the crypto and robotics angle, but then also the crypto space angle. So there are teams that are building out. I don't know if you've seen that chart from our World in Data, where you can see the number of objects we've launched into space.
Oh yeah.
And it is just, I mean, it's not even hockey stick growth. It's like a vertical line almost. And these are like CubeSats, probes, landers, like whatever, or crew landers and others. And that's going to be a problem real fast, right? Like we need better anti-collision software. We need to be able to track like silent satellites, which are almost like second strike defense capabilities, but in the sky. And one way to do that is by booking out commercial grade telescopes and being able to have eyes on the sky data that way. But usually they're booked out days in advance and you have stale data when you get access to that. The other way is to just crowdsource it. Like a lot of people have electronic telescopes to use anyway around the world that are hobbyists or taking imaging in the sky 24/7, and you can compensate them. And then on the demand side, charge companies to access that data. And so we're seeing a lot of interesting plays around orchestration and data marketplaces that are tackling very unique, dynamic, up to the minute data that we don't have in traditional rails.
Very cool.
Very cool.
I think the broader
I don't want to make too much of a joke, but I do think we should let the aliens access a pump
For
fund.
sure.
They should be able to.
100%.
Extraterrestrials should be able to launch.
That's the first thing they should do when they arrive.
It's kind of a gateway.
It's kind of welcome to
crypto.
America.
Yeah,
welcome to
America.
humanity.
No, but I believe we should put crypto in space.
I agree.
I'm excited.
Crypto everywhere. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for helping us understand all these different things.
This is great.
Very cool.
We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, Soona.
Goodbye.
Cheers.